Welcome to The Lonely Marketer, sponsored by Pager. My name is Glenn Southam, and this is your show for all things recruitment marketing. We share the challenges, the successes, advice and the screw-ups from the leading marketing talent working in recruitment. And most importantly, find out what their favourite swear word is. We speak to the companies working to make marketing recruitment more effective and efficient, and to those people who have opinions that will make you think about things that little bit differently. Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of The Lonely Marketer. Today I'm joined by Louise Archer from Retrained. Now, some of you might know Louise, she's quite active on LinkedIn recently, and some people might be thinking, why have you got someone on who talks about winning retained business in recruitment companies when this is a marketing show? Now, we'll hopefully explain that throughout the episode. It's quite a personal passion of mine to push retained business from a marketing point of view. But I'll let Louise intro herself and her business. So welcome to the show, Louise.
Thank you for having me, Glenn. It's a pleasure to be here.
And just for people who may not know, talk a little bit about your career, your background, and where you are now with Retrained.
Sure. I've been in recruitment for as long as I can remember, about 20 years. I stepped out of it for a while, fell out of love with it, and fortunately found my way back in. And Retained Search has a lot to do with that. And I moved from being a contingent recruiter, which is working on a no-win, no-fee basis, to working on a retained basis about 8 years ago. And since then, I've worked for executive search firms and research firms, and in the last 3.5 years, I have focused purely on teaching contingent recruiters how to transition to retained, all in part, and teach businesses how to do the same thing.
Yeah, and I think before I started hitting the record button, I was talking about kind of winning retained work from a marketing perspective, because I remember when I first started out in my career 16, 17 years ago, one of my jobs in the marketing department, and it didn't happen very, very often at all, maybe 2 or 3 times a year, would be like a consultant would come to me and saying, "Oh, we've got a chance to pitch retained work. Glenn, can you make this document look great?" and things, the classic can you jazz it up marketing thing. So I've always been aware of it, but in my head, it's never made a huge amount of sense of why it wasn't more common in the industry. I've never understood why companies didn't push more for effectively guaranteed cash rather than going in some crazy race, but not like not like a professional race you see in the Olympics. It's when you see like those comedy races where like all football mascots run around and they're just all falling over and making mistakes and their heads are falling off and things like that. So why, from your point of view, why are like consultants like so scared for even to ask for retained work? Is it just because it's not the done thing and they don't know any better?
Oh, there's so many reasons. Partly because it's just because they carry on doing what they've always done, which is what is human nature, and
what they've been told.
Well, they're taught how to do that, and then so they will just follow those rules and all the KPIs that drive businesses, and all the targets that drive them is pointed towards operating in that way. Mm-hmm. And so it's very difficult to actually change. It's very difficult to do something different in a model and in a business that it's ingrained in the culture, in the people, in the processes, in the marketing staff, in everything from beginning to end. So I think that's one of the reasons. The other reason is I think the businesses that do it and have been doing it, legacy and traditional search firms, like to keep their secrets close to their their chest and do a bit of smoke and mirrors to make it look more complicated than it actually is, and therefore it isn't shared, and that best practice knowledge and around process and around delivery process and sales process is not shared in the industry and hasn't been, and it means that there's a mystique and there's a bit of an unknown and a fear around selling something that they don't really know what it is. I think lots of those things. Sometimes I come across quite often consultants that have sold a retainer and basically just asked for money up front and got it, and then thought, oh no, what do I do now? I'm not really quite sure what to do with it, and I've just fluked the delivery, or thought that, it's just the same as a contingent process, and all sorts of things can go wrong, and they can get a bit burnt by it, and then think, oh, I'm just going to put that away and not really do that again, and stick with what I was doing before.
Yeah.
So all those reasons, yeah.
So is the process is fundamentally different. I think that's potentially what you were saying there. That was a key point, is that people win the retained business, get their 33% or whatever it is upfront fee, but then when they come to the actual recruitment of the role and everything, it's just exactly the same as if it was a contingent role in a lot of ways, because then they're not able to deliver on potentially what they promised, because like you said, they don't know anything else. It's just a case of, oh, we've got the money up front, but the other process in terms of sourcing, selection, interviewing and everything else doesn't change a lot of times.
That's exactly what happens. Yeah, that's exactly what happens. They win the retainer, or they get that money up front, and then they don't back it up with the robust and the rigorous processes that they need to actually, and really that they need to be able to deliver it, because the fundamentals of retained search is that there's some financial commitment from a client which allows you to put in place a rigorous and robust process, and that's where the mystery is uncovered, because it doesn't matter what that rigorous and robust process is, largely, providing that you mitigate against all of the things that could go wrong. Because what you've got to do is guarantee a result on a retained basis. So as long as you look at it like that and simplify it, that yes, it's different, but you just need to make sure you do whatever you need to do, managing the client, sharing information so you can manage expectations, make sure you've got enough candidates to, back up in case one pulls out, make sure you've got enough data to be able to manage the, and you do all of those things. All those things go wrong in a contingent process. And as long as you tick off all those things that could go wrong, you are free to design that process yourself, really. There's no kind of, mystery behind it. As there is a best practice process that if you follow all of those things, then you will provide a guaranteed result. So yes, it is different in that way, but what it doesn't mean to say that the contingent recruiter can't do it, because they've got all the right skills and they've got all the tools at their disposal to be able to do it. And once they know how, then happy days.
Can you be a retained recruiter and a contingent recruiter, or do you have to go all in? Yeah.
No, definitely. I think it's really nice to be able to say, look, for this type of position, I do this, and for this type of position, I do this. Or in this circumstance, I provide this service, or I apply this solution, and in this circumstance, I apply this solution. For you, Mr. Client, because it's a niche position and it's an unusual location, I'm going to have to spend significant time and effort making sure that we get a result on this. I want to work with you on a retained basis. And it can be as simple as that.
Yeah. I think, when we talk about marketing and how it played a part in my early career when we were pitching for retained work, and it was in an accountancy recruitment firm back in the day, is that me, from a marketing point of view, being a little bit kind of nosy and getting involved in stuff, is I was always saying, well, what else can we offer? We can't just be saying, we're going to find you the right person and we're only going to give you a short list. I was already at that point looking at kind of like competitor analysis and insight and offering other things. From a marketing point of view, other than basic collateral, do people within recruitment businesses kind of have those tools to be able to sell? Are so many recruitment websites won't even mention the fact of retained work and stuff like that, even at a basic level. Does there need to be a shift across the board in that sense, rather than just an individual consultant?
Yeah, having been firsthand in that position where I was selling retained solutions in a company that was externally simply offering a contingent service, it is a lot harder to sell it without the backup and the support of that same narrative running through the external marketing. It's not impossible, but it's a lot harder. And so do consultants that are that want to work on, that want to recommend retained, are they supported with the right tools and collateral? Largely not. And that's why part of the program that we run is helping them build. And I mean, I said to you, Glenn, I am not a marketeer. I'm not a marketeer at all. And I guess it's where there's a definite gap in what we do when we're teaching consultants and we're teaching teams, that we can give them the basic tools to build collateral, but in terms of then spreading that narrative across the organization, and externally in website and social media, and I don't know how to do that, and I wouldn't know where to start teaching a business how to do that. So.
And I think that's a great opportunity for any marketers listening. If there's a shift happening, we'll come on a little bit later talking about kind of like productization of some recruitment solutions. Is that marketing should try and be involved in that conversation, because the impact is it could be massive, really.
Yeah.
I think there's a big part as well from a marketing point of view, is that we probably across the board, we have the responsibility to start educating businesses and clients about Retained, because as much as recruitment agencies have been stuck in the cycle predominantly of contingent, that is what clients then come to expect, isn't it? So they don't even know sometimes. So I think getting that message out is important.
Yeah, we do have a responsibility to educate clients. And the reason that's difficult is because consultants don't know how to educate clients, and their leaders don't know how to educate clients, because they're all stuck in that cycle of, that contingent chaos, as I often refer. I love that description of the race, is brilliant.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of a way of like depicting that visually. And I always think of it as like maybe animals scrapping over something and then just something else that's rising. Anyway, and I would love to see like that, the clarity of the explanation of what actually retained search is to a client, really clear in a marketing message that would really reinforce what we're doing when we're actually talking to them one-on-one, and educating them on the flaws that the contingent process has, and the problems that we face trying to deliver a service on that basis, and therefore how much easier it is to deliver a service, how much better the service is, how much better the journey is for the client, the candidate, and for us. To have that reinforced somehow in marketing would be awesome. It would be amazing.
And I think that is the role marketers, like I said, they need to play. They need to, I bang on a lot about bridging the gap between sales and marketing marketing not to just be sitting in the corner, probably like I did earlier in my career, and got sent something, put it into a branded template, adjusted the fee structure maybe now and again, but didn't really get involved in the conversation about creating that clarity, so that ultimately when it comes to the point of you getting questions from clients and they're pushing back, is a consultant doesn't have to spend half the conversation actually explaining it all out. It's already there. It can actually start talking about the deliverables, what you're going to achieve by working for them, and effectively what somebody's paying for. That it's like anything. You go down to a product. It's quite hard with a service. I understand that, but if you're asking for money up front, someone's going to have an expectation of a certain amount of delivery that's different from them paying their 15% upon someone starting, isn't it? And I think marketing plays a huge role in that in that sense. Going on, I mentioned kind of productization and things like that. Is retained business now, is like winning retained business, do you have to offer more now than just finding the right candidate or the right groups of candidate, where we're seeing a trend, or I certainly am, where you're winning retained business, or you're offering retained business, but it includes a raft of different solutions, whether it's kind of employer branding or email marketing. It might be research based stuff around market trends. I know people are using lots of insights off of LinkedIn and other platforms for stuff. Is it more now than just finding executive search, if you like, just finding a person?
Yeah, I think it is, but then at the same time, I think what the mistake that some people make is to use those things as a reason that the client should buy it. And I
Mm.
think it's important to make that difference the difference between the two. Fundamentally, the service is that combination of tools, techniques and processes, which at some points are marketing, and
Mhm.
it really does reinforce it, like helping a business with their EVP, quite rightly mentioned there, or building a microsite that's actually going to help with the attraction of candidates, or a candidate briefing journey which involves a video from the CEO, or and actually helping the clients become more attractive, or whether it's one of the marketing teams I work with did this fantastic talent map
Mhm.
software where you could click on the world and see all the competitors of that client and click into that and look at all the
Wow.
talent in there and actually click on the individuals and there were their CVs. And it was just a fancy, image,
Yeah.
basically, an interactive image. But those kind of things really help to demonstrate our capability and where we've been, and they help reinforce the process that we're following. But they shouldn't be a reason, like the video technology and stuff that they're using at the moment, sometimes people are using as a reason for a client to buy it. They're not going to pay for a retained search just because you're using a certain tool or a certain technique.
Mm.
But I think the marketing aspect can really help. It can help us sell it, it can help us deliver it, and any help in sales that we get is just joyful, really,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
it can be hard work educating clients.
The Lonely Marketer is sponsored by our friends at Pager. Marketers use Pager to get 90% of those pesky consultants to share relevant content to their target audiences. Combine this with automated and fully branded job adverts, Pager drives traffic directly back to your website, which is then 60% more likely to convert. Not bad, huh? Head over to pager.co, that's PAIGER.co, to find out more. Let's get back to the show.
On retained business as well, just deviating slightly,
Yeah,
it can work at any level, yes, any positions.
yeah,
Whether
correct.
it's because I think there's probably tell me if I'm wrong, there's a misconception that retained search is only for your 80, 90,000, 100,000 pounds upwards, but you,
Yeah,
you do
correct.
you can do retained recruitment for entry level roles.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Last year I did 4 telesales positions,
Okay.
25k each. I just wouldn't work on a contingent basis ever again. It doesn't matter whether you want a
Yeah,
secretary
you'd
or a
have some problems with
VP.
your own marketing if you started doing contingent
Yeah,
work, I think.
exactly. Yeah.
You'd have
But
the
it just
reverse problem. Yeah.
but I do teach that there are instances where I don't think working on a retained basis is right or
Mhm.
is appropriate, and that is when it's dead easy to fill and just a warm body will do. Then it's unlikely that you're going to get investment from a client to commission you to carry that search out. And if it's impossible to fill, then I wouldn't suggest that you recommend that you take it on. And if you don't want to commit to it, then don't do that either. But pretty much everything else, if somebody wants a piece of work doing, then you might as well do it properly. Take the full brief from the client, understand exactly what you're looking for, set all the parameters out for the job that you're going to do, go away and do a really thorough job, keep your client informed and work as a partner with them and share your workings and show them where you've been, and do whatever it takes in terms of assessment or interviewing or headhunting or attracting candidates and engaging them and making sure that you get enough candidates through to a shortlist stage to give the client the reassurance they're choosing from the best available, to make sure you work with them until you make a hire. It doesn't matter what level that happens at. It can
No.
be for anything. It's the same process. So it's a long answer, but it can be for
Yes.
anything. Yeah.
And like I say, a hire at whatever position, whether it's a new global MD or if it's sometimes a receptionist, and no disrespect to any receptionist, at
No.
a point in time for a business, that is their most important
Yeah.
hire because it is because they've got a problem more often than not,
Yeah.
and they need to solve that problem. And why
Yes.
wouldn't you
Yeah.
pay to solve a problem? That's what you do, isn't it?
That's exactly right, and that's what I say all the time.
Mm.
All professional services are just solutions to problems that clients have, and that's exactly what retained search is. It's a solution, and whatever that solution is that process that you need to apply.
Mm.
So when I think about the marketing for retained search, I often envisage, because at the moment, one of the biggest problems that we've got in the market is that it's so noisy, it's so crowded, there are so many candidates available. I just had a story this morning of a client that put an advert out and got over 1,000 responses. Now, that is the reverse of the problem that we've got, or we did have, and we have had in some markets where there are no candidates and there aren't enough candidates, but it's just as much of an opportunity to make life easier for the client. So sometimes I think, are you and they're getting, but the other thing is not only they're getting bombarded by candidates, but they're getting bombarded by recruiters as well. So the clients are having problems in all areas, whether it's not enough candidates, not enough talent, not enough quality, not enough volume. And if we speak in the marketing to that problem, saying, are you getting bombarded with recruiters? Are you fed up with agencies calling you all the time, especially coming from a recruitment company? I think stuff like that is really nice when I see marketing like that.
Yeah, I don't want to mention the C word, but I will. Do you think the past the past 7 months or so during the pandemic has made retained business more attractive to clients and or recruitment agencies, or not? Is it still
No, I really do. I do, because I think there's been a lot of change. The landscape's changed so much for companies, and through no fault of the clients and no fault of the recruiters, there's been projects that have been pulled, parameters that have been changed, and it's been really difficult for the consultants to be able to justify spending time on stuff because they just don't know what's going to happen.
So they want a level of certainty.
They want a level of certainty, and more importantly, the businesses don't have that revenue stream to rely on. It's been falling away. Their consultants have been spending a lot of time on stuff that hasn't resulted in a fee, and the security of retained work, alleviates that problem.
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant point, and I think going back to what you were saying about the noisiness as well, and I think there's been this shift, like I say, to packaging everything up and everything solutions driven at the moment. When you unpackage that, a lot of the time for a lot of businesses that I see, it's a lot of contingent stuff just packaged up as a single solution rather than retained stuff, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, and I think it's difficult to understand as well when I see some of the way that services are divided or explained or articulated on websites and in collateral. I'm looking at it thinking, right, so what does that mean?
A lot of it seems to be speed. I notice. It's like, if you need on-demand talent, kind of right now, we'll get CVs within 48 hours, or you have your standard one, which is just contingent recruitment, and then maybe you have a kind of an exclusive where you get a dedicated team and doing this. But there's a lot of marketing departments who have been working on that and packaging it, which is fine. But you've got to, if you're making going back for a marketing responsibility and in a team, if you're making promises and you're positioning the business and the brand that you'll work for in a certain way, you need to be confident that it's going to be delivered in that way. There's nothing worse, and I'm sure you see it day in, day out in kind of in over promising and under delivering, especially if you're asking for a few £1,000 up front in that sense as well.
Absolutely. That's like the fundamental of working on a retained basis, any project, whether it's a single receptionist or whether it's 200 developers and it's millions of pounds or hundreds of thousands of pounds. So it is all about the delivery, and as a salesperson we feel the front end of that, of you've got to, whatever's behind you in terms of delivery capability has got to be able to follow through with what you're promising the client. And I guess why, in some ways, the 360 model is so common in recruitment, because you're then responsible for that yourself.
By definition,
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't think there's no need to be now, is there? Like being able to, greater than kind of sum of your parts, and bringing different technologies and different expertise, whether it is from marketing and from sales, or from even people like yourself externally, bringing all of that together to achieve an end goal usually ends up kind of getting better results, doesn't it? Right, trying to do everything. On that note, for I'm I'd like to think that I'm quite a commercial marketer, and a lot of the businesses that I work with and the marketers that I work with is shifting them sometimes from a brand led approach, which more often than not marketers are very good at, to a more commercial approach and getting involved in sales and winning and helping to win business, but whether it's retained, contingent, or whatever else. From your point of view, if you had to give kind of like some advice to marketers to if they wanted to get more involved in winning retained business and being involved in that conversation, what would your advice be for them to kind of be able to approach that subject?
I mean, the biggest advice that I can give marketers is to get involved. Yeah, just to actually get involved.
Put your head above the parapet a bit.
Yeah, and actually, muscle in on discussions, and you see if you can listen to recordings of calls, where salespeople are pitching it and clients are responding to it, and listen to this, get in the sales meetings where they're talking about why we lost and why we won.
Find out what emails were sent, find out what in-mails were sent, and look at the language.
If we've got a win, track it back. What happened? How was that done? Where did it come from? What problem did we solve there? How did we solve it? And how can we replicate that, that journey? And equally, if we've got a loss, why did we lose out and what happened there? And really unpick, that journey for the client, and what's working and what isn't working.
I think that's great advice, that working backwards, and marketers should be doing that, for everything, whether it's their own led campaigns, but equally for winning business is getting involved in the conversations is key. There's a lot of talk at the moment online and generally within marketing, and I have it in discussions around account based marketing. So where we are identifying key clients and then creating an account team that delivers for them, and stuff like that would work very well. I think you did that in the past, isn't it? In a previous life, you were kind of you're an account manager, weren't you, in that sense?
Yeah, we used to be. We were really good. There's a couple of firms that I've worked with that have been really good at account development. So I've learned some fantastic techniques and ways of business. It's just business development, but it's business development with an existing client, and you've got a real strong reason to open up dialogue with new stakeholders. And it, like I say, it's just the same. The messages should be the same. We should be tracking back wins. We should be making connections and getting involved with what's happening that's good, that we can A, work out how did it happen, and B, talk about to the next person.
Yeah, it's fundamental marketing, even in that sense, isn't it? It's it's segmentation and targeting who you want to be, and then making sure that you've got the process in place. And the process can be different for one business or one solution that you're offering or one service line, but make sure there is a process, I think, is the key, because I don't think they exist a huge amount. I've loved this episode. I'm a geek when it comes to the commercial side of things, and I think for the marketers who do listen to this, what Louise said is just get involved in the conversation is absolutely key. And do you know what? Now, in the world that we live in now, is people are happy to have more conversations. I'm sure if you're picking up the phone to one of your consultants or companies, thinking to make a shift to try and win more retained business, obviously their first port of call should be to call you, Louise, but if not, then see how you can help from a marketing point of view. So thank you very much for that. I always end my show with the quick fire questions at the end. So what is your favorite bit of tech?
Asana, hands down.
Excellent. Yeah. So I've always dabbled with various project management tools, and I've never managed to stick with one.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Asana, Monday, Trello, everything. Does it just control your day? Does it, or your weeks?
It just does not everything, because nothing does everything, does it? But it keeps us all, as a team, it keeps us all on track, and we use it really well for managing all the current clients and all the new stuff we've got to do, and all the marketing stuff. It works really well with the marketing stuff.
Excellent. What about your favourite brand?
It's going to sound a bit vanilla if I answer that question, but it's John Lewis.
Do you know what? It's that might be the first time it's been asked in 65, 66 episodes, or whatever this is. The vanilla ones are usually innocent and stuff. But
no.
Yeah. What is it about? What is it about John Lewis?
I think I'm a big believer in, doing what you say you're going to do and being, what it says on the tin. And that's John Lewis for me. It's high, it's good, it's high quality, and you're going to get good quality every single time. And if there's anything wrong, they'll fix it. And they do all the hard work for you, and that's what I like. That's what I like about them.
Must be due their Christmas advert soon. We're in October.
Yeah. I mean, they've definitely got one circulating. It comes up in my Facebook feed. That's quite nice. I don't think it's a Christmas one, though. I think it might just be a generic one. Their adverts are quite good, aren't they? Usually.
Yeah, I think I can imagine it'll probably be knowing them. They're usually quite emotional, but probably even more so this year with everything that's gone on. Or they might downplay it rather than spend millions of pounds on it like they usually do. Favorite sound? My kids
laughing is my favourite sound.
I was going to say, it had to be laughing because, as we both know, there's plenty of horrible sounds.
There's lots of other noises. Not them. Not them,
exactly.
But listening to them laugh, especially when they're together, because Emily's 13 and Harry's 9. They don't often play together anymore, but when they do and I hear them laughing, I just think, I love that. That's my favourite.
And if you weren't helping people shift to retained models or in the recruitment world, and money wasn't an object.
Things that I did.
And money wasn't an object. What job would you do if you had to do it for kind of the rest of your life?
Well, you kind of gave me the heads up on this, and I've been thinking about it. It didn't take me very long though. I would be a horseback tour guide, and I can even tell you specifically where, in the vineyards in South Africa. I would do guided vineyard horseback tours in South Africa.
That is probably the most specific answer we've ever had on that, but it sounds idyllic, especially at the moment where leaving the house seems a long shot, let alone going down to South Africa. It's very, very good. Would you be picking the grapes to make sure you've got the wine at the end of the day as well? I'm sure.
Well, I actually stopped drinking a few months ago, and I'm not sure whether I'll take it up again. But so I'm not sure whether I'd be interested in the wine itself. It's just a nice thing to do, and other people are enjoying it and having a nice day, and I can just ride all day. So that's why.
Do you ride a horse? Can you ride at the moment?
I can. I don't know. No, I just not really. Kids, husband, and a lot of work.
It is an expensive hobby as well, isn't it?
It's time, it's commitment and time. I just wouldn't be able to do it justice at the moment. And quite a lot of people fall when you get older and have like life-changing accidents. I'm a little bit more nervous of that than I used to be.
Every year older you get, I think you become a little bit more aware of your own mortality.
So I'd be 10 years younger, obviously.
Yeah, exactly.
10 or 20 years younger.
Look, this is a hypothetical situation. You can do what you want. I'm not sure how sweary you are. What is your favourite swear word?
I'm very sweary. I've been told off for being too sweary, actually. I swear in my programme, and someone said the other day, if you're going to sell this to big corporates, which we do, you might want to take the swearing out. But I'm not
That's you, isn't it? No, exactly.
They like it, it's different. Yeah. My favourite swear word is bollocks. That's my favourite swear word, because so much of complicated, stuff is dressed up, and the easiest way of explaining it is that word. Yeah,
and I think it's not too aggressive or offensive. When you kind of just say it's a release. Everyone knows exactly the reason why you've said it. So cool. Thank you so much for joining me, Louise.
Nice
Louise
to meet
Archer
you.
on LinkedIn. Go and find her, go connect with her if you're not already, and of course within your business, if you've heard discussions or if you're listening and that this is a shift that potentially your company wants to take in terms of looking at winning more retained business, then please do get in touch with Louise. sign up for the newsletter, review, rate, share with all your friends, family, and all your peers. And I'll speak to you all very soon.